Welcome everybody back to another edition of Factual Actual. I am Dwayne's daddy, his father, who is very appreciative to be a part of this program where we bring some enlightening facts that maybe you didn't consider before, and it will help you to think for yourself to be a success in life. And it is founded by my son, Dwayne. Uh, we're going to pitch it over to him, and let's hope he knocks it out the park. I'm sure he will.
Thank you. You always have kind words for your son. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say that here at Factual Actual, I know y'all see me and Baba up here, but I do want to know that there's some other people out there that make this happen. They're so important, and I just want y'all to know about them. Chris is my artist, man, and he's doing anything you see graphic that's coming up. That's from him, straight from the pen, and I can't forget about Miss P. Patty. We love you. I mean, so wise to be so young. We love you, and she's helped me on my path and gave me a lot of inspiration. David, I know you're out there somewhere, man. Nobody has inspired me like you have. So whenever you're ready to come and get on the mic, we're waiting on you. Antonio, hey, well, y'all seen Tonyo, so y'all know. So, but yeah, I just want to let that know that there was some other people to Factual Actual, and yeah, let's get into the spirituality thing. So, Bob,
Yes.
what is the definition of the creator? What are we going to go with? Show us what reference we're going to use, and we're going to start talking about the creator. What do we have?
Well, uh, I don't know if we have the relationship between a man and his creator, his God, is very, very personal and very, very intimate. And in my years of contemplating just what my creator was and his plan and his will, uh, I have a working definition that works for me, and it worked real well for my ministry as well. And I'd like to read that because through a lot of prayer, through a lot of consideration, through a lot of ponderance, this is what worked for me as a working definition of God, my creator. And I'll read it to you. I believe and teach that the creator is the sum total of the best that we can ever imagine. He is as great as we allow him to be. In the journey to connection with him and to become aware of him, we find that the closer we get to him, the greater he becomes to us. Our perception of the creator grows and evolves as we seek the essence of his being. And although he manifests himself in many forms and in many ways, he is still one creator. And I'm going to stop right there because that's, I think, was pertinent for the discussion.
Okay, and show us where that came from again. We got that out of the.
This is the handbook I wrote several years ago when I started the ministry. This is the Life Center Fellowship Handbook, and this is basically the ministry and how it operated, how it functioned. And
So
the scriptures tell us that first you got to get God in there. So go ahead.
okay, well, I was gonna so to be able to write a handbook for the whole ministry. How many years you feel like how much knowledge how many years of knowledge do you think you've got accumulated into that handbook?
I would say my total walk with God. It was a It was a production based on my relationship with my creator and how it related to other people that were on the same journey to spirituality as I was. And I believe, even though I did the physical writing, I would like to say that it was a collective of all my interactions with people and with study over 40 years.
Wow. Do you think that this will it grow? Do you think some pages will be added? I mean,
I'm certain. I mean, if I were
yeah.
to update it right now, I could add many, many more pages because this was written, like 8 or 9 years ago. And for anybody that's on a spiritual journey, you acquire new information and new knowledge and new wisdom along the way. So I don't know if I would have anything new to put in the book, but I would have better analogies and better explanations because I have had bigger and better experiences even since that time.
Well, I mean, I noticed that you have a beautiful pyramid behind you. Would that be one of the with those parts of spirituality be incorporated in, or are they already in the handbook?
I would say, like like I said earlier, I would have better descriptions and better analogies. And yes, the pyramid behind me uh, would definitely be a part of my analogies and my explanations because of what it represents. It represents high learning, high religion, high understanding of my ancestors from that predates modern religions. So I think the way I worship, uh, to put it like one guy said it, and I believe it, this is the greatest story ever told. And I believe that our ancestors introduced religion to the world, wisdom to the world, and the world has benefit from those things that my ancestors have contributed. And they go farther back than what modern time wants to ascribe to it. It's older and it's basic. I even think possibly primordial. And the pyramid represents a time when our ancestors were in perfect harmony with the creator. And this pyramid is their legacy to us, to let us know that we knew things then that we have not come to understand now.
That is so very true. So very true. If I just want to keep you on your toes here. So if what would you think would be one of the biggest misconceptions of the Holy Bible? What do you think one of those really big misconception is that we the people that's not so versed needs to know about?
People tend to spiritualize the book. People tend to ascribe some kind of magical power to it that it's the end all when that book is just the beginning. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions, if there are, would have to be the language. The original language that this was written in was a pictographic language, and symbols and things like that. You know, sort of like the hieroglyphs in Egypt. And the original writers of, say, the Holy Bible, we'll call it that, they realized that the entity that was speaking to them to write was timeless, and that understanding of the Creator grows as we live. And here is just an analogy to show what I'm talking about. It seems for many people, when they need direction and guidance, and they can't seem to hear the language that the Creator is speaking within them, they can open up their Bible, just randomly open it up, and they'll probably read something on that page that gives them some direction and gives them some comfort. Well, when we go to try to build a science on the book, then I think that's where we fail, because a man wrote it, and a man or men that were several languages away from where we are now, and thousands of years in a time past. And I think what happens, a lot of people, I think I think the power of the book has lost a lot in the languages, the translations. And I think the truer word of God is the one that he speaks within you. And you just have to learn the language.
Yes, yes. You know, yeah, within you, that inner divine, is that what we're referring to? Inner
Yes,
divine.
yes.
Well, I mean, we touched on it in a previous episode, but please give us more on the inner divine. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that don't quite grasp the concept of this inner divine. Could you give us a something to reference this to, so we can have a understanding of the inner divine?
Yes. Uh, I'm going to tell you what has been my experience, and the experience of so many other people as well that I know. Uh, People turn to their creator, their God, long before they ever knew what was in the book, because there was a voice, maybe not audible, but it was a language that was spoken within them that told them that they needed to connect with that creator. And this creator has unlimited abilities, unlimited knowledge, unlimited wisdom, uh, and he chose to reside within us. The problem is making that connection, or that waking up to it, takes, for a lot of people, especially those influenced by the West, a while for them to wake up to it. And power, that creative power, that limitless power resides within you. And until you believe, really believe that it's in there, then you are living beneath all these wonderful privileges that are within you. Anytime you are encouraged and inspired to do something greater than yourself, that comes from that creator that has allowed that power to work within you. So when we do things that are not constructive for our fellow man, that's a time that we've not listened completely to that power or that voice. And it would appear that the more you choose not to listen, the farther away from its power you get. So I know that sounds kind of cryptic and mysterious, but
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean a little bit. So I heard you mentioned in the West, you know. So do you still hold your views as far as Western ideology goes? West ideology and what it's done to spirituality and over the world, not just the West. But do you still hold those same
I would
views or have
say
things changed?
I would say yes, and even more so.
Mhm.
The more that I've researched, the more that I've studied, and the more that I've lived, uh, it's even more pervasive in the fall of civilization than what I once thought it was. I always questioned Western ideology, and it wasn't until this juncture in my life that I began to see that it was good that I questioned it, because
Okay.
it's very hypocritical when it comes to spiritual matters.
And can I get a little bit more detail on what Western, well, not just me, everyone, a little bit more detail on what the Western ideology is, what you're referencing when you say that?
Yeah, good point. Very good point. When I speak of Western ideology, Western philosophy, I am speaking about the modern age that started with uh, Alexander the Great, the man from Macedon, as he began to colonize and conquer the known world. Uh, he brought in the European way of thinking, the European religions, the European history into what we call now the East. And let's say Istanbul is the gateway. If you're heading east, Istanbul in Turkey is the gateway to what's east. And if you're looking to the west, Istanbul is the gateway to the west. And that goes all the way back to a Roman emperor that claimed himself to be the propitiate of God to mankind by the name of Constantine. Istanbul used to be called Constantinople, but there is Eastern philosophy that is a lot more spiritual and has a lot more. It has to do with Eastern philosophy. It's a spiritual uh, commune type. You know what's good for everybody. Well, when the Europeans came into the East, or the known world, then there were concepts that were introduced into ideology that had largely a lot to do with me, my, and mine. And what's good for me is good for everybody else.
They said
The
they
bottom line,
implemented. I always apologize for interrupt. They said that they introduced things like usury, taxes, loaning out on interest, but it wasn't just that they were loaning it out on interest, but they were selling prayers to God. And I mean, I looked it over. I read it from the internet. I will say this: I read it from the internet. That was supposed to have came from the Bible, and it was literally talking about like how this woman she was like basically a prostitute, but they figured that they could get this if they had sex with her that they would be king. I think he was a king. Oh, probably tearing the story up, but that they would use sex. So she started, in order to have sex with her, she would have to say it was great for you to remain king, and you would have to pay her for this right so you can stay king. And this is supposed to be a biblical story. Am I even close? Do you know what do you have any idea what I'm referring to?
I got an idea of what you're referring to, and mind you, that came way, way later.
That was even late. Okay, so they was already into it at that point, huh? As far as the
Well,
ideology.
here's this great conqueror. His name was Constantine. He was emperor of Rome. Uh, the Greeks, who had uh, Alexander, the Hellenistic Greeks, began conquering the known world. Okay. And ultimately, this was about 300 years from, the Common Era, 300 years or so before the Common Era. But the Greeks had
Yeah.
been coming there for hundreds of years before that. But this is when their conqueror came. And he introduced a lot of Western thought, especially when it comes to religion, uh, into the area. But his process was to amalgam what the religion was and the place that he conquered with his. And he set himself up as the deity of that religion based on the fact that he conquered that nation. Now, what you're talking about, this is 600 years later, roughly. This
Yeah.
is when the Roman conqueror Constantine saw a great vision in one of his battles, and the image of a cross came up before him in the sky. And he said a voice spoke to him in this image, conquer. So he has been using that cross to do a whole lot of conquering ever since then. And no matter what the oppressing colonizers, wherever they went, they felt that it was God's will to do the atrocities that they did. And we should be, those of us that are oppressed, we should be thankful because it is through their atrocities that we come to know his God. And because he was
Wow.
bring us, his God was stronger than our original gods.
Oh
So
man.
we're getting into religion there.
Nah. Well, hold on. Let's take a pause right there. So we know that the Western ideology came along and attacked spirituality, We got a lot of things right now that is definitely affecting someone getting back to nature, getting back to their spirituality. I remember you saying that spirituality and being with nature go hand in hand. So we have a lot of things that's on the Roman side and on that religion and that business and that thing going on that's pulling us away from where we can get spirituality from the religious side, and then from the nature side, of course, they pulling away from us. They got us in houses, electricity, and all that. So, with all those rambling things being said, what do you feel would be a good way for you to get back to your inner divine and back to that spirituality?
I would say we would start with, we can use this word, let's say prayer and meditation. That would be a good place to start. Because when you start praying, you start meditating, you start opening up your spiritual ears to hear some things. And I think the first thing that a spiritual voice will tell you to do is to be healthy. And to be healthy, uh, we need to look to the east. We need to look at our ancestors who were natural, who were spiritual, and who had a harmony with their surroundings and their environment. So I think when you start wanting to take care of your body better, that's the first start, first step, uh, the first act, and to look at every person, every individual, to be a creation of divine origin, just like you, and to treat every individual like you yourself wants to be treated. And what that will do is brighten the light, the spiritual light that's in you. It starts to get brighter and brighter. Will you be spiritual in a day? Probably not. Will you get healthy in a day? Probably not. Uh, but I think methodically, if you work on being healthier, thinking right, eating right, speaking right, uh, those things begin to mature your spiritual being, and you begin to evolve, and you evolve to something that's pleasurable to your creator, as well as you feeling good to yourself. It would be considered a living sacrifice. Uh, One of the principal things that we come to understand is that ancient cultures, even in Europe, they would kill animals and offer them to the various deities that existed. But when it was all said and done, that animal was dead. And from that dead animal, we were led to believe that it would somehow make our lives better. Well, that's not the case. And later believers would tell you that it's not the sacrifice or death of an animal that our creator wants. He wants us to act differently than the West has taught us to be, programmed us to be, something that's very selfish, profit motivated, and very, let's say,
Sounds
without
kind of devilish. Sounds kind of devilish, to be honest with you.
empathy, without compassion, without sympathy.
Is that a sociopath or sociopathic?
Well,
I don't
you know, it would be easy for me being to say that because I'm amongst the oppressed people. But
yeah.
I'm just to say that it is a mind that has not been awakened to righteousness yet.
Do you think that this is possible to someone ingrained in Western ideology? Do you think that there's a repentance or a change in that? You think it's possible? Not
Uh,
somebody on the fence, somebody that's already on the other side.
I'm going to say this. We have seen in my lifetime this return of a lot of people to the Eastern uh, spiritual stuff, and that these individuals are actually acting better. But it's not enough of them to make a difference. What we have is a selfish, self centered, greedy
Mm.
Western philosophy. And I'm only going to speak for me and my people that for 500 years, it hasn't changed. And I'm not inclined to believe that that part of it will change in another 500 years because it's guided by greed, is guided by selfishness, is guided by, uh, and for a large degree, the pain and suffering of other people. I don't, maybe individually, there will be those that do better. But as a whole, I was looking at some numbers just this week, just to say this, and it showed like 50% of the country believes this, and 60% of the country believes this, and 70% of the country believes this. And I'm talking about student debt, wipe that out,
Mm.
you know, a more representative form of government where corporations cannot buy our representatives. And 70% wants universal health care like they do in all the other countries of the earth that works. 70%. And yet it goes to our Congress, and it even though it's the will of the people, it never happens. And it never
Well,
happens because these representatives, I don't care what their party is, they're going to vote for the way that these big corporations who finance them want them to vote. They
mm.
allow lobbyists. Actually, they have gone so far as to say that a corporation is a person and it gets representation too.
Oh yeah, that hustle. I sometimes I have to question, me, just how in the world could you believe some of the stuff that these that become, I mean, it don't make no logical sense whatsoever. But they pull this stuff off on us, you know what I'm saying? That just it's unbelievable. So that's one of the main reasons we here with Factual. Actually, at least we can come here and tell you the truth to the best of our knowledge. You know what I'm saying, without trying to give you no BS. And that you got to appreciate that's one thing we can do to the best of our knowledge, and understand that we know that they already lying. So we ain't trying to tell you what the CNNs and NBC's got to say about anything. You know what I'm saying? Most of these, I mean, Name something they didn't lie about, and then we could start from there. But it might take you too long to figure out something. You know,
From the moment you open your mother's matrix, the indoctrination begins, and
as you move through the bow. Yeah.
it takes an adult mind willing to question status quo to ever see differently, because it's like Dr. Ben Yaconin said. He said, man, they'll tell you in their schools from the very beginning that Christopher Columbus discovered America. He said what they're really saying is Christopher Columbus discovered America and the native indigenous people sat down and watched him do it. And yet you don't question it. You just kind of accept it because you're at an age where you're looking to be told in a formative young mind. They tell you that, you believe it, even though it defies reason and understanding. And it's not until your mind opens up, you start saying, hey.
So you're trying to, this is just my thoughts here. So are you inferring that we're born into indoctrination of Western ideology from start? That's what we putting out there, from the start.
From the very, very beginning. If you send your kid to school, you're sending them into indoctrination. If you send your kids to church, you're sending them into an indoctrination. Even you, okay? Even we put cow's milk. I don't even want to go there. Yeah,
don't go there, but I want to go here though with that. So I want to take it a step farther than schools. I'm going to say you're getting indoctrinated while you're technically in the womb because of the ridiculous indoctrination that they putting your mother through out there in the world and telling you this ridiculous shit in your body that's going and infecting you. So they're already in the process of changing your brain function and mind, your thoughts and your consciousness from her, hey, go take these prenatal pills but don't worry. Look, I'm trying to be simple about it, but really, like, hey, go take this pill. Great, it's got vitamins in it. Even if the vitamins were legit, it's got a plastic capsule around it. Do you really need to be ingesting the plastic alone? Most of the sea animals will tell you it's probably a bad idea, if we go there. So, or hey, we just gonna use super glue or Bondo or some kind of caulk material to hold the pill together because that's good for the baby. And it's only a little bit. It's only a little bit. Oh, we want you to take these pills 3 times a day, for the next 9 months. You see what I'm saying? And then that little bit turns into a lot. And then you got plastic paws and in your body, and you got your baby there. You get what I'm saying? It's the indoctrination is real, and I just think it goes a whole lot farther than just by the time they get to school. I think it's before they even, all the way back to probably the condom that broke before they were even born. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Well, it starts, we start being indoctrinated from the minute they brought us over on them ships. And to the degree that many of our ancestors thought it was their lot in life to be oppressed by the nation. We thought that was the natural order of things. That's what was indoctrinated in us.
Well,
and that didn't feel that way, they killed them, hung them, lynched them, tortured them. All kinds of ugly things happened.
So this is what because I'm not from that. I try to stay away from that point in time because it's got a lot of negative to it that I'm trying not to. It's there, I understand, but a little bit farther on past that what I could never grasp about, the captor and the captor in this scenario with us melanated people and the Europeans was they gave us two different Bibles, and nobody was like, "What's up with that?" And that just blows my mind. That what I'm saying. This here go yo. It's the same God, but here go yo God, and we gonna take this Catholic God and no, we gonna be in church about an hour and we ain't gonna do no singing, but y'all go ahead and spend, 3, 4 hours there. It's fine. Sing and dance all you want. And yeah, we gonna do this Passover thing, but y'all ain't really gotta worry about that Passover. Do you get where I'm coming from? It seems very peculiar to me that one to like, wait a minute. You saying we got the same God, but we got two different books to represent it in two different ways that we do it. It drew a red flag with me, but then again, I wasn't there, so I can't say. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not going to comment a whole lot on that. I'm just going to say, if the God that you worship has pale skin and blue eyes, it doesn't matter what book you're reading from. It's not so. So there are cultural differences among all peoples. And so, I can just say this. I do not believe that God was European. And it's going to be hard for me to worship a God that's European. So, the way
Yeah.
the way things are in the way that we worship around the world, a lot of it is the way we perceive things culturally. And I'm not gonna speak on that because I only know about my culture here. So I can't speak about others. But I will say this. I believe that the faith that is claimed, people have taken the official copyright of, is just a knockoff of the real one that our ancestors had way at the dawn of time, at the dawn of our age. And I believe he's the same creator in the same religion that was of the age before this age. And it is fact that mankind has been around at least 30,000 years. And it is documented that there have been many cataclysms that wiped out mankind uh, many times, and that they have had to build again several times. And I think each and every time that they built again, it was from the divine perspective. I think it was the creator who forged a means of worship. Now, worship sometimes turns into religion. We see that around the world. But
True.
initial faith, initial worship to the creator, it started out very pure and honest and genuine and good and bright.
All right. So you know how we like to do things right here, a better way. So Bob, a better way. We got this spirituality, a better way. That's what you got for us. Give us a give us a path or give us some ideas of which way to travel, what you have for us.
If I were to start a ministry today, I can tell you what I would do. First of all, I would do my best to convince those people that I come in contact with that we indeed have a creator. We are not random. We are not uh, chaotic. It didn't happen that way. We are here by design. And I would urge individuals to start to look within through prayer, through meditation, and through reflection to begin uh, to start a relationship with that creator. The next thing I would tell them to do is to start looking at your physical and spiritual and emotional health. Look at yourself, look at your diet, look at the way you talk, look at the way you think, and work on it. And I would tell people like John the Revelator said, as your soul gets better, your body gets better. And when I speak of your soul, I speak of your whole being, you know, your whole being, and take very basic baby steps. And that is learn to pray every day and ask this creator, your creator, to awaken inside of you, and ask that creator to show you what he would like you to do so that you find purpose in your existence and your life. And the next thing I would do, I would say, those like-minded people, let's communicate with one another, maybe even meet with one another and encourage one another to strive to be the best that we can be based on a criteria given by that creator. And I would tell them to start a Zoom program or YouTube channel telling other people that there is a better way to deal with what oppression and this life has thrown at you. It is by reconnecting with your divine, your creator, through prayer and genuine empathy for your fellow man. Stay with it and encourage each other to stay with it. And I believe that you will improve a section of the world. So pray. Teach yourself to pray every day. Teach yourself to talk to your creator. At some point, you will understand the language and the frequency in which he speaks to you, within you, in your earth and in your mind.
Well, Baba, that hey, so me and you can do this for hours on end, but we did agree that we had to maintain so any last thoughts you want to give out to the people? Hit them with it now.
Yes. Pray. Pray for the well-being of yourself and your family, and to pray for the well-being and the strength of those people that you love. Start praying. Please start praying. Start asking your creator what he would like you to do. He will speak to you. And from that, listen to our broadcast, and we're going to give you some insight into how to eat right, how to begin to avoid those poisonous things that destroy your body, and those thoughts that destroy your mind. And we work on all of this together. We will find a better way of doing things and dealing with what this life has thrown our way. There is a better way.
You always know how to grab me at the end, you know. You want to do another hour? I mean, I'm down. I could just sit back and talk to you for, but
But
you don't want to because you got things you got to do. I know. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing to do. I would do it, but you know, I know how you get. So I'm not gonna hold him.
on that note, you're not holding me, because the Lord blessed me to retire. And of course, I always have things to do. But if I think we owe it to our audience to keep it in the time frame that we said, because they have other things to do. But if you want to continue and make this 2 lessons and send it out that way, that's fine with me, because I really don't have any place to be other than on my couch in front of my television at this juncture. So it's your show. You call it.
I call it. Give me a pause so I can have a break point. So I can wipe that out.